good morning. How are you? How's
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Ellie, you are a surfer, fitness enthusiast from America. We have two things in common there. So tell us, but you moved to Portugal recently, more recently, I think, right, with the house and everything. So tell us how you ended up here.
Oh gosh. Well, in short,
all from the beginning.
All from a man that I met, not a Portuguese man. I met my boyfriend almost 7 years ago, traveling in Australia, and he's French and from the French Caribbean, and then has always loved Portugal. In 1 year, he was like, we were sick and tired of long distance, only seeing each other during surf competitions, and he was like, want to move to Portugal with me? And I was like, yeah, nothing's keeping me in California, and it's the best decision ever. So I feel like a lot of things in my life have worked that way. Like, I haven't planned on them happening, and then it just falls kind of into my lap, and then I'm like, wow, this is what I wanted all along. So I feel really fortunate for that. But yeah, it's been amazing. Every time I go back to America and home in California, I'm like, Portugal's home now.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
So you think
100%.
You're like here to stay?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I still am going to have my travel lifestyle, which is probably 8 to 9 months out of the year. Yeah. But definitely feels amazing to have like set some roots, just be more permanent here, and like have a place to leave my things. And now I can buy things that you don't
can store places that you don't need to just fit in a backpack. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was 7 years ago now, or how many years ago was that?
5 years ago, we decided to like be in Portugal during the winter time. So we've been living here ever since for the winters, and then traveling most of the year. But every winter we'd come back and have the stress over and over of trying to find a place to live. And then finally we were like, this is annoying. Let's try to buy a place. And with us being gone most of the time, we can Airbnb, rent it out. So
yeah. Nice.
Hopefully make some money while we're traveling as well.
Definitely. Congrats on that. That's huge.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so for those that don't know, you said you and your boyfriend travel a lot. Who's your boyfriend?
Yeah. So my boyfriend is Tim Biso. He's a professional surfer. He's been doing the WQS for his whole life. Been surfing since he could walk. Right. And worked his way up pretty high in the rankings and everything. And we were just watching some surfing videos this morning, and like just stuff that surfers are talking about on social media, and the whole surfing world, man, it's like falling apart.
I feel like it's closing in, and I am not a professional surfer. I surf, but I'm not in your world, I feel, and I just see it everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. That's for another podcast.
Yeah.
But so what brought me to saying that is he's always been a competitor his whole life, couch to couch, country to country, week to week, like hectic life.
Right.
And then decided that for his career, it was better for him to have a home and have somewhere that he could come back to, which is why we chose Portugal. It was like more central to like all the contests he was doing versus going all the way back to a small island in the Caribbean every time. So that's why we chose Portugal. And then over the years, competition surfing has just, over the last couple months, I should say, has kind of fallen apart. Yeah. In a way. And I've been doing content creation for like 2 years now, and so I kind of am like pulling him a little bit in my direction to kind of make some money and do what we love. So,
yeah, and I'll ask you a bit about the content creation a bit later, but with the so I assume it's nice that for you and Tim, you guys share so much of a similar lifestyle. Did you find it? So you were also competing when you were younger. Were you and Tim competing at the same time, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I actually met Tim through mutual friends at a competition when I was not even out of high school yet. I was a senior in high school, and I was like, my teachers were like giving me my homework, and we're like, here, go do this.
How much older is he than you?
He's like 2 years.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Depending on the time of year, it's like our birthdays, but yeah, like 2 years. And yeah, my teachers would give me my homework, and I'd go and do these QS events, and then I'd come back and go right back to school. And and so my first like big trip, towards the end of my senior year, he was staying with some mutual friends of mine in Australia, and we met and kind of just clicked. I say the rest is history because it is. Like, we just immediately connected. He didn't even really speak very good English at the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I did a lot of talking. Like, I think back to that, I was like this young little California girl and like was just like la 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 talking so much.
Talking,
and his English was not very good, so I wonder if he was just like like it's just so funny to think back on it.
It's funny when you're kind of talking, and I feel like as Americans, and also it's our native language English, I find myself talking super fast sometimes to people that maybe it's not their first language, and they give you this face like, I'm so lost right now.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to just slow it down.
Yeah. So thinking back on that is pretty funny. But yeah, so I was doing competitions, and I never started the QS like thinking I was going to qualify. I'm not like a gifted surfer. I just wanted to travel. I didn't want to go to university. Like I knew that for a fact. Yeah. I did end up going to college completely online, but I knew I didn't want to be on a campus. Yeah. So that was kind of like my brother said to me, he was like, well, what if you just go to community college online and like do some QSs? And I was like, sounds better than I was about to commit to play college soccer.
Okay. Before I
really? Before I chose surfing. I think
you told me this. I totally forgot about this.
I have this like whole other life. It's crazy. Yeah. But and then I literally met Tim my like first big trip out of the country. Yeah. It still blows my mind to this day. But I was doing QSs for a bit, but it's so expensive. Yeah. And you're surfing the crappiest waves you can imagine. And so you're paying all this money, a plane ticket, accommodation for a week, $1,000 membership for the year.
What is that membership?
Membership to WSL to compete. Okay. And then you're surfing for 20 minutes. And if you lose round one, which is what I did for the first 2 years of competing, it's like I remember my mom knows nothing about surfing, and she would be like, is there like some second round you can surf in? Like, why does it just 20 minutes and you're done? And so
you're like, that's it.
I just did it to travel and get experience, which led me into the whole content creating lifestyle. So it created the lifestyle that I now have created my dream life out of. But I think people in the beginning were like, why is she doing the QS? Like, she's not that good of a surfer. Yeah. But it was just, a way to see the world, a way to
definitely it's
start
an opportunity,
my career.
Especially when you're young. And I mean, I think so many people want to travel, and so you will take any opportunity to travel. I mean, a lot of people, I did volunteer work for many years when I started traveling, just to like be able to travel and have a free place to stay and have a reason to travel instead of just spending money out of my own wallet. So I think it's a really cool opportunity, and you met Tim through it, and I feel like you've gotten so many cool experiences through that. So
I feel so fortunate to have had that opportunity. It was really cool.
Yeah, and so this then fed into kind of naturally content creating because you were already living this kind of travel surf lifestyle, or did you decide one day, I'm going to do content creation from this?
Yeah, no, that again also kind of just fell, like I remember the first couple brands that would reach out to me to like take stuff on their trips and like, we want this surfing photo. It was like a couple bikinis. I don't know what else. I can't even remember the first couple brands that I was working with, but it kind of just fell into it because I was also like the classic blonde California skinny girl, like that worked that works in your favor a lot. And just shooting surf content, and got more into like, I wouldn't say I got more into modeling because like when I was younger, obviously that was like what everybody wanted to be. Yeah. And I would do like beach shoots with my board and whatever. I actually ended up getting like a 6-page spread in this book.
Oh, crazy.
Like Surf Like a Girl. And now it's like all over the world. Yeah, I knew about it. Yeah. Worked on it with the woman. She emailed me. I sent her images, got like all the photographers, like organized. And at the time I didn't really know that it was going to be anything. Yeah. But this book, Surf Like a Girl, it's like all over the world. Right. And I get so many random people on Instagram sending me like pictures of the book. And like, I found you in this book.
Oh, cool though. That's super nice.
Yeah, it's so funny because those were like the first trips I ever did where I got cool photos, but I wasn't doing content creation for my job. Right. So it kind of evolved. Yeah. Yeah.
So then you've been doing kind of, well then how long have you been doing it for and making money from it, I'd say?
So I've made random bits of money here and there over the years, but nothing ever regular or major from sponsors. Right. I think the first brand I ever got was like $200 a month or something. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I know. Yeah. And then those things quickly like tapered out. Like they're either not, they're like, oh, well, we didn't get enough sales or something. It's so hard to sell product online, especially when you have a small, this was back in the day when I had a really small like following. Right. And content creator wasn't a job at that time. And then TikTok came out. I was against it for a while. I was like, not for me.
I was like, it's not. It was not my thing. It's too young for me.
When it was still the dancing thing, right? Like I remember these girls I used to babysit were on Musical.ly.
Yeah,
and that's what TikTok literally evolved from. Yeah. So anyways, I didn't have it for the longest time. Then I was on a surf trip in Nicaragua with my friend, and she was like, you should really make one. And I was like, whatever, I'll make one. So I made one, posted some surf content, and then fast forward 2 years later, I accidentally went viral like 3 or 4 times the first 6 months of having my account. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Didn't even know you could get like paid for views, which I still have never been paid for views because I made my TikTok account in Nicaragua, but that's beside the point. And then I would say like it's been 3 years or so since I made my TikTok account. And I would say the last year I've really been paid for content creation. Yeah.
So how does the payment work? Like, how do you get paid? Do you get paid by brands, or do you monetize off your own content, or tell us about that?
I'm lucky enough to have all my businesses and all my sources of income connect.
Right.
So I have a lot. Sometimes when people ask me what I do for work, I like forget to list them sometimes. Obviously, TikTok is just brand deals for me. So brands send me products. I make videos about their products. And then I have recently started doing content creation in a sense that brands give me product to take on these trips.
Yeah.
And then I shoot their product on the trips. I don't even have to post it.
Yeah.
I just send it to them to use for their social media purposes. Okay. This is a lot in the realm of like surfing. So brands send me bikinis. They really want photos of me in a barrel with their bikinis on or something. And that can go to sunscreen, to clothing. That goes so far.
Right.
And then I have my personal training business, which also meshes together because I do share some fitness content. I'm finding it hard to mix the two sometimes, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And then I have my business, which is my surf product reviews.
Right.
So my business, I'm also testing bikinis, testing wetsuits, which is different than marketing or shooting content for a brand.
Not just promoting, but actually testing.
Physically testing. So I have separate accounts for that because it's not, here's my discount code. It's this bikini was crap. This one worked great.
Right.
So all of those go together, which is amazing.
Keeps you busy, I can imagine.
Yeah. So it's anywhere from, shooting content for brands to use, promoting on my end, or reviewing products.
Right. Yeah. Cool. And how much work is that for you? Like, is it full
time?
Full time, right?
I if anything, I have a little too much on my plate. Yes. I just recently hired my best friend as my manager, and she's epic. She's doing amazing, and it's like someone that gets me. I was this close to signing with like a big agency for management for a 3-year committed like contract, and I've been contacted by a lot of agencies over the last year, and I just like was not sure. I really trust my gut with everything when it comes to going on trips, when it comes to brands and companies and working with people. I get a feeling and I trust it. I have the same feeling. So I have the same feeling when I travel. Yeah. If I know it's about to be like a shit travel and I'm about to pay way too much money for my board, flight delays, I know it before it happens.
Right.
It's really freaks me out sometimes because I'll be driving to the airport and I'll be like, oh no.
Here we go.
Here it comes. But yeah, so I feel that with brands and these agencies, I just was like, I wasn't committed. And like, I just signed a contract yesterday for something that I'm coming out with. I'm really excited about. But they reached out to me, told me the idea. I jumped on a call and I was like, let's do it.
Right.
Like, didn't even,
like no questions.
No, And I just was like, I like this. Let's do it. So with the management, it was a few things here and there that I was like, and so bringing my best friend on was amazing because one, she came on at the busiest time of my life, which was amazing. And she knows me. She knows the content I put out. She knows what products I'd want to share, what not to share.
She like aligns with your values. She like gets it.
Yes.
She sees it through the same lens as you. Yeah.
I definitely had to teach her a little bit about just, okay, well, this is a lot more work because of this. Or like, tell this brand we can do that instead of that. But she's really quickly learning and it's like amazing. So yeah, it's technically just me, and then now Tim has come on and is helping with like the editing process of a lot of things, and obviously shooting a lot for me as well, which is great.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. I think, like we talked about a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago now. I think the whole content creation maybe gets a little bit of side eye sometimes from this whole influencer lifestyle, but people don't really understand that you can live such a cool and fun lifestyle, and all you have to do is document it, pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of back work to it, of course, but it's such a exciting and fun opportunity, I think, for people to take on. And so I also was kind of like anti-TikTok, anti like Instagram for a long time, but I realized as a business owner, it's such an amazing tool, and to kind of create this content, like you're doing it a little bit differently than I am, but I think it's an amazing way to like just have fun with your job. And it's a ton of work. Like I don't think people understand how much work goes into just making a few reels or a vlog or connecting with brands and stuff. But I think it's definitely, I mean, for me, I love my job and I think it's amazing and I work a ton, but I think it's totally worth it. And it gives you a lot of opportunity and it's super fun, I think, especially at this age, you know?
Yeah, I literally think that content creation and TikTok was the best thing to happen to so many people. Specifically for the reason that you don't have to have a talent. You don't have to have anything crazy. You just have to have a fun personality and be able to talk to a camera. Like, I watch people on TikTok. I personally love watching the girls who do their makeup. Like, that's like, I don't know why. Maybe it's just this like other lifestyle that I don't really always live. Like, I put a little bit of makeup on and they're definitely very influential.
Yes.
Every time I'm in the airport, I'm like, oh, yeah, I need that. She uses.
Yes, I know. It's crazy.
But so that being said, there's another girl who I've watched literally is viral and famous for eating Indian food on camera.
Like, people find their niches and
it can be something so simple.
I know, and they get attracted. People like the audience, I feel like gets attracted to, I don't know, weird mannerisms these people have. They're just like interesting to watch. Yeah, I feel, and but there's so many niches and weird things, and you don't have to have these like insane, crazy ideas. I mean, a lot of people do, but it's so interesting, like what people are attracted to and how you can make money off this. It's wild.
Yeah. So I hate to hear people say stuff like, oh, I could never do that. It's like, yeah, you can. Like, literally anything you like to do.
There, I think.
We have to be out there, but you also have to, like, if you just edit in a certain way or do things that are authentic to you, it's going to stand out, like, and it's going to be interesting to people. You just never know. My mom's, again, I'm bringing up my mom because she's so confused by this lifestyle. She's like, why do people care what you eat in a day? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, but they do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's such a cool, amazing thing. And it's given so many people these amazing careers, which is a bit scary.
Yes.
At some point. But I think content creation is an incredible job.
Yes. And I think you put out a lot of insightful information on yours. You do like surfing for dummies and you do a lot of like question and answer. I feel like you go around and promote certain hotels or whatever you're staying at. So I feel like you're really doing it with a purpose as well, and it's very informational. You do fall on some pages or profiles that are just like completely exploiting themselves, or you're definitely kind of seeing through the reason that they're doing it. But yeah, I think this kind of it just fits your lifestyle, I think, so well. I mean, you can literally do whatever you like. You can travel and you can surf and just document it and get paid for it. It's amazing.
Well, and to me, it's like my whole life started when I just decided to go on that one trip.
Yeah.
Or I just talked to that one person in that one place. And that's what I want to inspire people to do. So, like, I want them to see my lifestyle and be like, oh, wow, like, I can do that. Like, I can try that and I can open these doors for myself. And, so that's my ultimate, like, connecting with my community is my favorite thing. If you look at my TikTok, you look at my Instagram, almost not really Instagram because it's a different community, but my TikTok, I will respond to every single comment.
Yeah.
I know
amazing.
A bunch of my TikTok followers, Rose, Stephanie, like Laura.
Yeah,
like
they're like your little group. Yeah.
I see their names. I respond to them all the time. And that makes me so happy. That's my favorite thing. And I've been getting so many messages from girls lately, like, I was surfing and I was really frustrated, and then I remembered your video where you talked about this, and then I caught my first wave, and I'm just like I'm literally gonna cry.
I know.
And I'm just like, that's why I do it.
Yes.
And that's, so I'm so grateful to have a community like that and like be able to do what I want with social media, because like you said, there's so many accounts that I see, I'm like, this doesn't provide any value.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like, and that's like, I've been listening to a lot of like content creation podcasts lately, and just talking about, longevity, and back to what you were saying about a full-time job, like the demand of how much you need to constantly adapt to trends, and every 4 to 6 weeks, what worked yesterday might not work next month.
You need to be like super resilient.
And I'm struggling a lot with that, to be fair. Like, I'm like, I got this figured out. Yeah. I got it. I got my second backup TikTok account to a couple viral videos. I'm like, I got this. I understand it.
Right.
And then, like, I'll get a slow period. And I'm like, these brands are paying me, and I'm like, oh, and like the algorithm, nothing's working. And I get kind of wrapped up in it, and then I come back to myself, and I'm like, okay, just be you, go back to what you love, what you're grateful for, like, go back to what you did just for fun.
Yes.
And, like, for the passion of it, and, like, here I am back with another viral. Like, you know what I mean? And like the viral stuff is always the stuff that you never thought about. You never put any effort into it.
Yeah, I feel like it is the authentic moments. And yeah, as you said, like whenever you're kind of overwhelmed or confused, just ground yourself for a second. Just be like, just go back to the roots, go back to what I want to post. Because yeah, like you said, you're always kind of need to be adapting and following what the next big thing is. But sometimes you maybe miss it a little bit and you're like, oh shit. So you just have to stay authentic.
And that's also how you avoid burnout.
Yeah.
Like people ask me, like, don't you get burnt out? They're like, you're posting videos every day.
I know. I asked you this. I was like, dude, you're posting videos every day. I'm like, how? I post maybe 2 a week and I'm like one full day trying to produce this little shitty 10-second clip. And you're just out here like, boom, boom. I'm like, what?
I love it. Like, I know that there's the occasional hater. There's the occasional...
yeah, of course, they'll always be there.
Yeah, bad publicity, but I mean, no publicity is bad publicity, but like, it's still just, it's so fun. And especially with, I love the concept of teaching people about surfing because nobody knows.
This is the one I love. This is the one I love the most. I'm like, this is so good.
Well, and I'm blown away sometimes by what people say, but I'm like, wow, I'm talking to people that don't know nothing about this sport.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but it's also like, for the core surfers, they're kind of like, ooh, that's kind of kooky when she talks about that. But I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, like.
It's fun.
Yeah. Like, as I said to you the other day, I feel there is this kind of divide with surfers between the people that have never surfed before but want to, or even just the really beginners versus, like, the pros. And there's these different worlds. You know, everyone surfs completely at different levels, but it is intimidating as a surfer that's not as good as a professional to, you know, maybe talk to that surfer or see them in the water because honestly, like if you're like an elite surfer, you're not going to like bat an eye at a beginner that you're surfing next to, you know, it's really intimidating, especially to be in the water. So for you to kind of open that door as a professional surfer to beginner surfers, intermediates, anyone under you or even above you, you know, like you really kind of take down that wall, I feel. That's how I felt when I was watching these videos. But yeah, I don't know that many professional surfers that really talk so openly about surfing and all these little skills and all these little things that, of course, for you, it's second nature because you've known it for ages. But there are so many people that don't know this stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think that the divide and like that intimidating feeling that beginner surfers get from pro surfers is like, I mean, we're getting a little off topic, but it's fine.
That's all right.
It's like that divide bothers me almost because like the beginner surfers and the non-surfers is what funds that professional surfer's contract.
Okay. Explain that. What do you mean?
So like pro surfers don't pay for anything. They're never going to buy something. They have sponsors and they get a contract for the year. Well, the contracts are slowly dwindling,
yes.
but they get contracts to travel and do their job.
Right.
And that contract is funded by the people that are like infatuated with surfing.
Right. And buying the
buy
products.
those board shorts and buy a surfboard and buy a leash that you're promoting. So it's like for them to kind of hate on, I wouldn't say they hate on, it's just there's a divide between the two communities. They don't, and I think that intimidation slash feeling that beginner surfers have that are like, they don't want me here, that's not real. That is the beginner surfer like imagining that,
right.
But for them to, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
That's a really good point, though. I never thought of it that way. Because, you kind of need... Exactly.
There's no money in the sport, and it comes from outside the sport.
Yes.
That's why the Billabong, the Lexus and Yeti Pipe Pro this year is not sponsored by a surf company. Yeah. It's like they have to go outside the surf industry now.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm glad to hear you say, though, that I'm bridging the gap.
Definitely.
Like,
and you make it, I mean, for me, at least, you make me feel really just relatable, I guess, because as an intermediate surfer, to hear these tips that help me as an intermediate surfer from a professional, you don't really hear this around. You talk about professional surfers getting barrels. I'm like, I'm not getting barrels. So like, this doesn't apply to me. But some of your things that you talk about really apply to me. So I feel more connected to you as a professional surfer, which kind of bridges the gap in that way. So I find that really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so it sounds like you're super busy, and another big part of your life is fitness. So tell us a bit about how you started, when you started, how you've evolved as a fitness person, and now a PT as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I had this whole other life. I played competitive soccer my whole life. I was pretty darn good at it. And I was about to play in college. So I've been an athlete my whole life. And with that comes a lot of training. We had strength and conditioning sessions. And I got into fitness like everybody else does, wanting to look a certain way.
Yes.
And that started when I was young. I was playing soccer, and you're with a bunch of girls. You're constantly comparing yourself. I wasn't quite full on in the surf industry, but I was in it enough to have like all these women in the surf industry that I looked up to at the time and wanted to look like and stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of why I started. And then I would say I was like, basically what I'm saying is I've always been in the gym. And then I had like trouble with food and with training, like 90% of girls do, which I think is just now that I'm on the outside of that, it's like hard to watch, but I do think that for the most part, I mean, I really hope that for the most part, or at least what I'm seeing, is people starting to come around to like that stigma of like super skinny is kind of transitioning, and everybody wants to be muscular and strong now, which is great.
Yes.
But back to what I was saying is like that happened when I was about like 15, 16, 17. And then slowly was transitioning out of that after like I had adapted this whole surf travel lifestyle, and I was really happy with where my life was at. And like, and then just one day I got a DM on Instagram, and this woman was like, hey, like, how's your, I started a fitness account on Instagram because I wanted to share more about it. And this was probably like a couple months after I started the account. I was posting and everything, and she just DM'd me, and she was like, how's your training going? Like, what are your goals? Yeah. And we talked, and she's like, yeah, I'm a coach. Like, have you ever tracked macros? Have you ever done the whole, like, bulking and cutting, as most people know it? And I was like, no, I kind of like the slow and steady route. Like, I was, like, hesitant on what that whole thing would do for my mindset, my fitness, whatever. And I had a call with her, and I told her, and I'm a really hard worker. Like, I work really hard. So I was like, okay, maybe somebody just telling me what to do. Like, I don't know, maybe that'll change things. Yes. So I signed up with her, and literally like 3 months after, I was like, what have I been doing this entire time? I know. Like, where has this been all my life? Yeah. Wow, I've been missing out. Like, changed everything. Yes. About everything I knew about training, whatever. I knew the base, like I knew a lot from just YouTube and reading and really caring a lot about fitness, like reading about it on Instagram from the right sources. And but this was just like doing it myself was like, whoa, this is how people get results. Yes. So immediately after that, signed up, got certified with like a 6-month course. Took me like 3 months. I was like,
because and you're interested in it.
Oh my
so
God.
Like, boom, boom, boom.
I was soaking it up like a sponge. Yeah. And I never wanted personal training to be like my main income. Like I love it, but I mostly just did it for my own education. Yes. And then I don't even think I ever marketed like, hey, I'm a personal trainer, I'm taking on clients. Like I kind of did, but not really. And suddenly found myself with like a couple clients. And but most of like everything that I learned, and the more that I learn, there's a never-ending list of things to learn. Yeah. But everything I learned was all like self, like through my own experience first.
Yes, definitely.
And so, and I like I said, I work hard. I do what I'm told. So my coach gave me this, and I hit my macros within 2 grams of everything for 3 years. Right. And I'm like, and people have, and then all of a sudden people just flood into your DMs and they're like, what are you doing? How did you do this?
Yes.
How does your butt look like that?
Yeah. No, because your physique is like very, very nice. And so, I think people will naturally...
They ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
So then I'm like, and then I tell people I take on clients but I treat my clients the way that I want to be treated. My my career as an athlete growing up, I never got complimented because I wasn't the type of athlete that needed it.
Right.
I worked really hard and I was talented, and so I literally remember one meeting with my coach, my mom being like, why don't you ever give her a compliment? She single-handedly saved the team and you didn't even say good job. I totally remember that conversation, and I remember the exact moment in a game where I heard him yell from that, good job. And I was like, wow. And I'm not the type of athlete that needs it, so I didn't feel much from it. But that being said, I never need come on, you can do it. That's not. My mom raised me. I was like, oh, you're fine. Get up, walk it off.
Yeah.
So that's...
Tough love.
Yeah. So that's how I am with my clients. If they're not going to do it, I'm not going to make you a booklet about motivation.
Yes.
If you want to better yourself, here's the puzzle pieces, put it together.
Absolutely.
It's never going to be So then the clients that don't do it, they don't do it. And I'm not going to chase them around or try to bring clients. The people that want to work with me and want to do their shit are going to do it. Exactly.
I feel I experienced this heavily over the last 3 years. When I first started doing classes and being a PT, I wanted to please everyone. I was like, and there would be people being like, I really want to get in shape. I really want to do this in the gym. And I'd be like, okay, trying to pull them along like this. And then they just end up falling off, in a couple months later and just kind of wasting their own time, not my time because I always learn from this, but they just waste a bit of time and also money. They pay for these sessions and they stop 6 weeks later. And I've slowly realized that I'm just not the person to hold your hand while you're getting into shape. I will guide you, but all you have to do is show up. It is really hard as a coach. And I don't know many coaches that actually have this characteristic of motivating people every single day to get up out of bed, incentivizing them somehow to do it. I just kind of learned to not work with people that don't want it, you need to have this base level of self-discipline just to show up. Literally just show up if you have a session with me and I'll take care of the rest for an hour. That's it. Yeah. But it's super hard to motivate people. But I think second option for those people, group classes are great for them. Yeah. In my experience, because they meet people, it's more of a community, they get involved, and it's a fun social thing to go to a group class once you get to know people. But personal training, I'm the same. I'm like, okay, if you make up excuses for 6 weeks of not coming to the session, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just like, all right, you do your thing. Yeah. Can't make it, sweet, no worries.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, and I don't want to say frustrating, but to the point where, you're sitting there looking at them you don't know what you're missing out on.
I know.
You don't know what you're missing. And they have, it's about priorities and if you're going to put yourself first or not. If you, okay, you want to look good? Mm-hmm. How badly do you want to look good?
Yes.
And you can choose how hard it is. I was listening to a podcast recently that was saying that, wallowing in your whatever, it's too hard, I don't want to do it, giving up, playing the victim is the same amount of effort as being the victor.
Right.
So it's the same, it was such an interesting thing to hear because I have a couple people in my life and just when you care about somebody, you obviously
want the best for them.
Well, you want the best for them, but you also that exhausting, come on, you're missing out. Mm-hmm. You put more energy into it.
Yes.
Because you want the best for them.
Exactly.
And you want them to experience what you've experienced. So for me, going back to the content creating thing and why I want to motivate people to travel and why I want them to have an open mind is because that changed my life.
Yes.
That changed my life. Working hard, going to the gym has skyrocketed my confidence, skyrocketed my career. Literally, it might have started to look good, but now it's, like everyone says, it all turns into a feeling of how you feel.
Yeah.
And when I'm walking around in the gym with my music in, I am the main character.
Yes, you are.
I am the main character.
I feel you.
And I've always wanted to make one of those reels.
Yeah.
about I'm gonna give it away, but it's fine. I'm gonna do it anyway. One of those reels of like what it feels like when you're in the gym with like music, like slow mo. You like look good, and you're all like picking up your weight, like you're the main character versus outside of your headphones.
Yeah,
and I'm like whispering the song lyrics. I'm like.
I did this the other day. Yeah. I was like taking the headphones off and my whole atmosphere changed. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. And so anyways, that feeling of like, I look good, cool. But I can lift that much and I can feel this level of confidence.
It's confidence, yeah.
And that's what I want to give people because like I've given it to my clients and a few of my clients and the way that they express their gratitude towards me and like share how it's affecting the rest of their life brings me to tears. Like
definitely.
It's the best. It's the best reward you can get.
It really is.
The feeling that we get when that person is finally experiencing what we've been like, yes, this is what I want for you is the best feeling.
I think that is why we do it.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
because, well, of course, because as you just said, there is such a superpower in feeling your best, like feeling strong and confident and getting a good night's sleep and waking up excited to like conquer the day.
Yeah.
It's a high, honestly. It's like the highest high I've ever experienced. And for people to, you definitely see people that are in the slumps a little bit and you're like, all right, I'll get you to this level, you know, but it is disappointing when people just don't get it. Yeah. And you're like, you're so close to the other side. You just need to put in maybe a month of work and just start like, stepping over to the other side, you know? But some people just, I still don't know how to convince because you can shake them and tell them so many times you're going to feel so amazing, but they still decide not to do it. And it's different for everyone, of course, and there's a lot of things holding people back. But it's really a different mindset, a different life. When you feel your best every single day, you can conquer so much more. It affects everything in your life, not just your physical and mental health, but your confidence, your relationships with other people. You're more of a go-getter, you know, and you enjoy your days more, I think. But it's tough. It's a tough role.
Well, and that improving the energy around you is what ultimately brings your entire life together. It brings you opportunities, brings you people into your life that just elevate everything. Yes. So it's like it's unbeatable, and like that's why what I think is interesting too is like I don't know if any coach has the answer to like convincing people, but what I was thinking about was the style of coaching that everyone has and how they take what they know and their personal experience and that's what they try to teach to people. So it's like pushing your beliefs onto someone, which is so hard. Like if they don't believe it or experience it or know it, it's impossible for them to understand what you're talking about. And so, for example, your first thing you're going to say to your clients is probably like mobility. Yeah. Something that's probably something that's huge for you.
Yeah, mobility.
Yeah, like mobility, that changed everything for you. Yes. So that's what you're going to encourage your clients to do. For me, it was like understanding my food. And I've done that for a few of my clients, and they're like, wow, like this is so cool. Yeah. And then they're suddenly in tune with their body. They're suddenly like not against it anymore. And so that's a big thing that I push. And then like other coaches will push like, I don't know, weight training or running or ice baths. Right. I don't know what it is. Yeah. But it's just like there's so many different types of coaches out there, which I think is great.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why there's so many coaches and why people choose specific coaches over another, because they do connect more personality at the end of the day. Again, you sell the coach, not the program. Yeah. So people need to connect with you and kind of see eye to eye. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if you're not connecting with one coach, maybe try another one or try another one. Find someone that shares the same vision or philosophies as you and kind of work with them that way. But and so, but with your training specifically and surfing, how do you balance all of this? So like do you consider surfing a part of your training, or is it more of a fun thing? And then, so tell us a bit about your training schedule.
So I think of it like, I get a lot of questions actually. I'm going to do a YouTube video like soon with like a Q&A and like a little workout, because I like to incorporate that sometimes. I get a lot of questions about it. So I'm like, okay, sure. I need to prioritize that. But I got a question that's like, people are like, how do you surf and train when you get so sore? And I'm like, okay, well, one, I'm consistent enough that I'm not sore all the time. I choose when I push myself. So, for example, this whole week, it's been stormy.
Yeah.
So I pushed myself in my training. And I'm sore. But I know I'm going to be recovered by the time I'm surfing tomorrow or the next day. So that's a lot of it for me. And I'm traveling all the time. So it's just like with my coach, we're like, okay, these are the dates that I'm going to be home. This is when we're going to go. Then this, like we plan out the year and we say, okay, this is when we are going to cut and we're going to look good for this photo shoot, this trip, whatever. And then these months we're going to just grow muscle again. Yeah. So it's really about like planning and just knowing. So I think if I had a regular routine, normal 9 to 5 job with a routine, going to the gym XYZ days of the week, like most people, it's easy. It's part of your routine. Make it part of your routine, and it's like for me, it's like brushing my teeth. I'm not gonna not do it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm tired from surfing, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just lift lighter.
Yeah.
Like,
I always say, like, you need to schedule exercise like a doctor's appointment. Like, you just don't miss it.
Yeah.
You don't miss it.
You don't say, I don't really feel like it today.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I just spent 3 months away from the gym. 3 months. 2 months with, like, random days, weeks here and there where I could lift. And those days and weeks, I'm like, okay, on.
Yeah.
And then I'm surfing 7 hours a day on the surf trips that I'm on. So, and those 7 hours, I'm exhausted, but I'm also, like, I can feel all the muscles that I normally train to balance my surfing lacking.
Yes.
And then when I get back in the gym, I'm still weak. I'm weaker, even though I just surfed a crap ton.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, and then another thing is people are like, how do I paddle stronger? Well, you paddle.
Yes.
I'm not going to put you in the gym and put you on one of those like Bosu balls with the, I'm going to program external rotation.
Yes.
I'm going to program the opposite of paddling.
Right.
Because if you surfing destroys your body.
Yeah.
If you only surf, you're going to have muscle imbalances up to the ceiling, and you're going to have, you're rotating one way because we only surf one way. So your backside versus your front side, like you're going to be
it's completely imbalanced, even just standing on your board. Like
one hip is one hip is tight, one is loose, your one glute's strong, the other one's this, your shoulders are rounded, like you have no core. Like, and people are like, oh, but surfing's such a good workout. Well, yeah, but like once you're at a point where surfing is, your muscles are more used to it. Yeah. It's all about like cross training. Right. And keeping things healthy. And so for longevity. Definitely. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want to like, we're going to get into it.
Tell us.
I don't want to lift. I don't want to get too big.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Literally,
no.
I get this every single time, especially women that I sign up with to coach. I want to get strong and I want to lift weights, but I don't want to get bulky. I'm like, here we go. I think I have a saved note on my phone that I send to every single one of these people because it's always the same. But go ahead.
I just think, like, bro, if that was the case, every single person would be jacked. Yeah. Everyone would be huge. Like, it's not easy to get big.
Yes. Yes. Like, and you need consistency in what you eat and what you train, and it doesn't happen overnight. So if you're like one day you're like, oh, I'm starting to look a bit big for my liking, tone it down. Yeah. It's not like, oh, at one session I'm gonna get bulky. Yeah. It's insane. People still have this mentality.
They do. And I'm like, I just spent 3 years eating like a freaking linebacker to try to grow a butt. And I grew, but I'm not huge. I don't think I'm huge. Some girls might think, oh, you're too muscular for me. That's fine. Right. But like, I just, oh my God, it drives me nuts. And surfers too, they're like, I get it with some dudes. Like some dudes pack on muscle like crazy. And it, like I definitely had to change my quiver when I like put on more muscle. And like Tim has been changing his boards like crazy because his body fluctuates so much. Right. And surfing is an insane workout. It's amazing. And maybe if you don't want to get too big, you should still be training and balancing out the muscles that you're not using. Like otherwise you're just going to be more and more prone to injury. Yes. And and so then people are like, oh, I just want to like do yoga and surf. That's great. Yeah. That's perfectly fine. Right. But then don't come say, oh, I want a bigger butt though.
Yeah, I know. It's
like or like I get my, like DMs, like I got this DM from this girl that was like, okay, so I want a bigger butt, but I don't want bigger legs, and I don't want to look muscular.
I'm like, you're like, how is this gonna work scientifically?
Maybe get a Brazilian butt lift, or eat a cheeseburger. I don't know. I don't really know. That one's a tough one.
Yeah. I think people do just assume that they can spot reduce fat, get like, you can change your body composition so much, but they need to understand the basics, science, you know, of to put on muscle, you need to be eating more and lifting a lot. Yeah. And to lose, you need to be eating less and probably lifting less, or what if you want to lose muscle or fat or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's these people that just think it's easy. And also people, I mean, I put on muscle very fast. So I could probably guarantee that I could get pretty bulked in like 3, 4, 5 months, you know, but so it depends genetically, but people have these expectations that it's just going to come after a month or 2 months. I'm like, you've been training for how long now? Like weight training? Years.
Like seriously? Yeah, like 4 years.
Yeah. I've been training. Yeah, probably. Years. I mean, I started when I was 14. I'm 26, you know? So like not consistently, but 12 years. And I'm not stopping, you know? Yeah. It's a lifestyle. And this is also something really tough to say to clients, because you don't want to discourage them from starting, you know, because when they come to you saying, oh, I want to be in shape in 6 months, I'm like, you will be in better shape in 6 months, but I'm not sure you're going to get to exactly where you want to be. This might take years, but to try to drill it in their head that it's a lifestyle change and you have to be consistent with it probably forever.
Yeah.
It's scary to tell them sometimes because they're like, oh shit, you know, I can't just do this for 8 weeks. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, or they're like, okay, well, I like the rest of my body, but I just want my butt to be a bit bigger. Yes. So then they're like in the gym doing like crab walks with booty bands.
I know.
And they're just doing that every day. Every leg day is just like booty bands, this like the abduction machine, like whatever. And I'm like, I see myself when I was young.
I know,
and
right?
I'm like, oh.
Yeah. This is actually like,
like,
yeah.
If you want to change, it's a lot. It's not just adding one exercise and keeping everything else the same.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing I changed was always my nutrition, because I always trained hard.
Yes.
I always trained really hard, but it was just the nutrition that I was lacking and didn't understand.
Yeah.
And some people, like, they just want to eat as little as possible because they're scared, and then they just think if they add this one exercise, then that muscle is going to grow. Yeah. Or if they have like, if they ate a lot for like 1 week, they're going to gain weight.
I know. And it's also, I think people approach it as I said, like a 1 or 2 month thing, but I'm like, periodization. So like I talked about this in my story the other day, but planning your training. So like you're going to be training now for the next 3 months in a certain way, and then the next 3 months a different way to try to achieve these goals. And everyone that trains long term for years or training is a part of their life, periodization is always implemented into the programs. You're not going to be training these crab walks every single day for the rest of your life to get a butt. Yeah. You need to maybe choose those at the beginning, then go to something heavier, then go to something lighter, then change the exercise, you know, like always kind of keeping your program dynamic. And that also keeps it interesting, I think, for people to keep going back to the gym, because there's nothing like getting a new program. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to like work out, do something new.
Periodization with your program, but also with your nutrition. So it's like people that are just constantly starving. I used to think you had to be constantly hungry to have abs. Like I literally believed that. Yeah. And I would look at these girls on Instagram and I was like, that's not possible. Yeah. There's no way they ate that. Yeah. Oh my! And now that I eat as much as I do, I'm like, it's possible. And it's because of all of this time you spend being uncomfortable, eating a lot, growing all the muscle, so that your metabolism is just like, you're working like a machine. Yes. And so then when it does come time to drop fat, you change just one little tiny thing in your nutrition, and then all of a sudden it's like 4 weeks later, you're lean, you look amazing, like you're stoked, and then you can just sit at maintenance and just chill. Yeah. And like look the way you want, not be hungry, like just love it. And and I think that, like, I have this one client who, dude, people come to me, ask me for personal training clients. I do my like onboarding process. Yeah. All of them are eating like 1,500 calories.
I know.
And they're
it's
like,
nothing.
they're like large humans.
They're like full-grown adults.
And I always go, I love their face. I'm like, so you're eating about the maintenance calories of a toddler. Yeah. And they're like, what? I got this from a online like macro thing to tell me that I put in my goals I wanted to lose weight. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we're going to up your calories to this much. And they're like,
they get serious.
They're like, are you serious? But then after 2 weeks, they're like, wow, I feel so good. Yes. I'm like, oh yeah,
you're energized.
Yay.
I know. I think it's also something with metabolism when you're going from someone that undereats And then, yeah, you get put on these extra calories, more food, you get scared. And maybe you do gain a little bit of weight at the beginning, but it's you need to give time for your base metabolism to like catch up.
Yeah,
and like
for your body to realize like, oh, okay, we're getting food now. We can actually use it to
and be energized and move through the day and be more like cognitively there and put it into my workouts. Because you get so many clients that undereat and then they can't lift anything in the gym because I'm like, you're starving.
Yeah, and they're so active. Yes. Like they have super demanding jobs and they lift 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Yeah. And I'm like, how are you okay?
I know. I feel like you at some point you run on fumes. Like I remember when I was massively under eating and overtraining, and I look back now, I'm like, how was I doing this?
Same.
But then I burnt out bad. Like I burnt out really, really bad. But it lasted like years. Yeah. Like 2, 3, 4 years where I was like eating nothing, training as hard as I ever could, running, standing up, going to uni, everything. I'm like, how? The body has its ways. The body's amazing. But at some point, it's like, you've had your fun.
Well, and like, I don't know about you, but like when I was in that kind of area, I literally like, how did I do everything I did? But when I was in that, I never got results. Nothing ever changed. No. I just stayed small and like was exerting a lot of energy.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I didn't grow any muscle. Nothing changed. My body didn't change. Like, And then so like you said, when you first start eating what you normally should eat, your body's like, oh, and then it catches on and then you're lifting. Like I have one client who's been so incredibly disciplined and on point and every week ticking her boxes. Yeah. And she looks incredible, like amazing. And we went from like the beginning when like, oh, okay, I virtual coaching. You don't always know the ability of like their movements and how they move. So we went from, here's your program. My first videos, I was like, whoa, okay, I need to train this squat. I need to retrain how she's moving here. Her hip mobility, ankle, like everything I needed to reassess. We went from that to now, like every week, everything is improving immensely. Yeah. And she, like I said, she looks incredible. She's lifting well. And finally we're to that point where she's like, I am ravenous. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, we got there. We got there. You're building muscle. Yeah. Like this is the beautiful part where you're just like, you eat a meal and you're immediately like hungry.
Exactly. And it's just getting people to that point, you know, like I'm like, give it 3-6 months, like until they just start seeing a little bit of improvement. And then I feel like you've gotten them hooked, you know, like when they're like
3 to 6 months is a long time to ask somebody.
Yes, I know. Well, especially that's never trained or like has a really negative relationship with training. I have a friend of mine and he's like, oh, I hate the gym. I don't want to go in the gym, but he needs to get stronger. He's lacking in a lot of areas. His nutrition is pretty shitty, and but he really wants to do it, but he has a really negative relationship with food and the gym. So, yeah, it's tough to get people like this. But
it's like you either make time for your health now or you make time for illness later.
Yes.
And problems later.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, it's just like this superpower of feeling healthy all the time. It's like uncomparable.
Yeah. And like taking care of your body to the point where you just feel good all the time. So to the point where when you get sick or when you're like something hurts, you're like, oh my God, my life.
I know.
Like I can't move my body. Yeah. Like you get so grateful for every second.
That's true.
Yeah. Like Tim's having some shoulder problems and stuff. And we tried to go to the gym yesterday and he got so frustrated. Yeah. And I like wanted to cry for him. Yeah. I was like, you don't even feel good enough to like do this exercise or like move and do this. And you just get like so frustrated with your body that you just don't want to do anything. Yeah. You don't want to even try. And then it's like, then it's just, you're on the opposite end. Yes. Like, you got to bring them all the way back up to here and then bring them all the way back to here. Whereas like when I'm training and I'm consistent, the reason I stay consistent throughout all my travels is because I know what it feels like to just drop off the map for 3 months and then try to come back. And I'd rather do one workout here, one body weight workout here, so that when I do get back to here,
so your baseline's kind of staying the same at least.
Yeah,
instead of just
same, but also just I don't have to come back from zero. What feels like zero.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with your recovery, because again, super busy, you're super active. You're pretty on top of your nutrition, I'd assume. Yes. And sleep. Do you have any other, like kind of what are your go-tos? Like what are your necessities when it comes to like recovery?
If I don't get at least like 9 hours of sleep.
I'm also a 9. I'm a 9. I'm like
I would
9.
Say, sometimes I say 10, but people are like 10?
Yeah.
I'm like okay, 9. If I don't get my 9 hours, I'm a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, and so when my sleep schedule is off, and I also notice a big difference when I'm not training. So like when I go on boat trips and I'm just surfing, I'm tired, but I'm not the same amount
You're not
of
like physically exhausted.
Yeah, I love not being exhausting myself all the time, but you sleep so much better. Like everything about your life is better. Your sleep, your appetite, your like people always, how are you never bloated? I'm like, well, because my body functions properly because I feed it when it needs to be fed.
Yes.
It rests. It's not stressed. Like it's balanced.
Right.
So yeah, sleep is probably my just number one. I don't really do anything crazy. I do take creatine, which I feel like helps with my recovery.
Yeah.
And I get optimal amounts of protein and eat a lot. So that's like my main. It's the simple, the simple requirements.
Exactly. I tell people this as well. I'm like, just sleep and nutrition.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely dabble with supplements if you need to, and I'm not against them at all. But baseline.
Yeah.
Simple nutrition, getting enough protein. Oh my God. Like all of my friends are like, oh, I ate an egg this morning. I'm like, it has 6 grams. You need like 100. Like,
yeah.
They're like,
Tim,
I need protein.
I'm like every day I'm like, protein. I'm trying to educate him slowly. And one time we were talking about like chicken breast versus chicken leg. And we were talking about like a chicken breast and like how like a Costco breast, like a Costco breast has like so much protein.
Yes.
And he's like, huh. So if I just eat like a chicken breast every day, I'm like, you're
you
still about 130 grams of protein away from your maintenance of protein.
I know.
So every day I'm like protein, like just trying to like
feed it in, like, but it is hard, like, and it is a little bit overwhelming when you don't know how much protein is in things. Yeah. And you just hear things that are full of protein. So meat, beans, if you're a veggie or vegan, or eggs or whatever else. But you don't know how much. Like, eggs are, like, the biggest one. Oh, I eat 1 or 2 eggs in the morning, and then I eat, like, a handful of chickpeas in the afternoon. I'm like, babe. Yeah. Where, like, you got it, like, it's not 10 times that, you know?
Yeah. And, like, a chickpea, like, that's not even a complete protein.
I know. Like, I know. It's wild. Like, people really, I just really encourage, like, read the labels. Yeah. Read the nutrition facts. But also, I'm a big ingredient girl. So I'm like, read the ingredients, but also read how much protein's in there. And also just like whole ingredients. Like I used to be a big like, let me find this weird packaged vegan, healthy, gluten-free, no soy something. Yeah, right. And it's like a weird, like it's not Whole Foods. Yeah, it's not a whole food. It's literally just like a lab-made bar. Yeah. And I used to eat been through it all. Yeah. Went through a phase of like literally only ate fruit and veggies. Yeah. Like I was like terrified of any sort of carb. Little did I know that I didn't even know that fruit was carbs. Yes. But still, I was afraid of like bread and all of this. And I used to convince myself that it hurt my stomach to the point where I would actually have every excuse to be to the point where I used to think I didn't like rice. Yeah. Like I convinced myself of this stuff. Yeah. And now I'm like, all right, I will go through 3 loaves of bread in a week. Yes. Like 3 bagels, maybe 2 bagels a day, like, and so throughout all those, like that's when I used to have bloat. When I used to eat little and I used to not eat properly, like that's when I was unbalanced. And I think everybody gets to these weird ideas in their head, and that's why they're bloated. They're, but the bread made me bloat. And I'm like, no, well, your poor diet and you're like, anyways. I forgot what we were even talking about, but I don't even know, like nutrition, but it's funny with protein. Yeah, protein. Yeah. But no, I was just gonna say with the bloating, I actually found that I've been very veggie heavy for a while. I've never been vegetarian. I did no dairy for a little bit. But when I stopped eating these leafy veggies, like I only started maybe 8 months ago to eat more meat and just more starchy vegetables and less kale salads. I love a kale salad. They taste good. Like I love them. They're delicious. But I stopped because I heard there was, inflammatory and bloating and whatever, and I'm still not sure, but I stopped bloating straight away when I stopped eating less, or started eating less vegetables, like these green cabbage and like these dark purple and green vegetables and stuff. But yeah. Well, I feel like too is like one thing about, back to the protein thing, it's like with tracking, people think it's like so obsessive and they're like, oh my God, I can never do that. I'm like, bro, that was the opposite of the obsessive for me. Made everything clear, made everything make sense. Yes. And now I've found basically eat the same thing every day. Yeah. And I know exactly what hits my macros. I know what I love to eat. I know it tastes good. It makes my body feel good. Yeah. So tracking it can be amazing. Definitely. Even if it's just tracking your protein. Because like
a lot of my clients too come to me eating like 50 grams a day, maybe 70 if I'm lucky. And I'm like, okay, let's wean you up to 100. You should be at 150, but like let's start slow. Yeah, and they're like, oh my God, how do you get this much in? So then they just started buying protein bars and protein powders, and I'm like, my meals in a day, like I do a couple like what I eat in a day is on TikTok just to help people like understand like how I get my protein. I get like 30 to 40 grams each meal, and I have like 4 meals a day. And it can be helpful because it's like you don't need to slam protein powder and protein bars. Like I eat protein powder every day. But I put it in my oats in the morning, and then I have egg whites, and then I have like some sort of chicken or deli meat, and then I'm a big chicken girl. But it's easy when you just spread it out and you eat. But a lot of people don't eat like 1 meal a day.
I know. I know so many people that wake up late, go off of coffee for black coffee for hours until like not even water, nothing, and then they'll eat their first meal at 1 or 2, and they feel like shit after this meal because their blood sugar level just gets completely spiked because they have a huge stack of, I don't know, something sweet and carby because they're starving. And this kind of fluctuation in your blood sugar levels from all this food and all this caffeine just completely plummets. They need to nap for like 3 or 4 hours after, and then I'm like, what is this day? Like, what have you done? What's productive about this? You know?
If I don't eat like an hour at max after like waking up, I'm like, can't do anything. And so Tim and I will like go surf. He's not a big breakfast guy, like not hungry in the mornings. So he just drinks 2 coffees like with sugar. I have my coffee, my breakfast, and water. We go surf, and sometimes that's like a 3-4 hour ordeal. And by the end of the surf session, he is like cranky.
He's like
hangry.
Dying.
And he doesn't even know he's hungry. But he's so moody. And I'm like, bro, we need to get you some yogurt pods or
keep
packets or something. You're like a child. I need to like keep snacks so that you don't get angry. And I'll be like, we need to, like, I'm like, you need to sort this out. Because, like, now you're getting angry at me. And, like, I'm perfectly, I've been fed. I've surfed.
Balanced. I mean, it comes to, like,
just
like
plan.
Food.
Like, you're not a child. You just plan. Like, people do this. They're like, oh, I'm too lazy. I'm like,
you're an adult.
Yeah,
like you're almost 30.
Sorry, you're
like,
an adult. Grow up.
No, but it's true. I mean, again, like, I can name so many people that eat like this, and they just forget. And also the power of food. I'm like, it regulates your energy levels and your moods, and it makes you happy, and it does so much for you. Just if you are someone that struggles to eat in the morning and crashes in energy, eat something in the morning.
And
it's
plan
a simple
for
fix.
it. Make overnight oats. It's easy.
I know.
And then, like, I think part of it is also because, like this is a common... Have you seen those memes of the common, like, the high school girls? It's like, my head hurts. Well, what have you eaten today? It's like, well, last Tuesday I had a rice cake and an iced coffee. And it's like, I think part of that comes from, oh, well, if I wake up late, then, like, I won't think about breakfast, and therefore I can undereat. And so I think that's where part of it comes from. And it's like, it's doing so much more negative than positive.
And it's just not sustainable, I think. I mean... You're not gonna, I don't know, like, you do get these, like, freak biohackers that are in your face and very intense and whatever, and maybe they have a point, but I at least for myself, I don't see myself just intermittent fasting and training it super hard my whole life. Like, there's gonna be a time where I'm on a vacation and I have to eat breakfast because I'm with a bunch of people, or I'm gonna be sick and I also have to eat breakfast because, you know, like, it's just, you need to find your sustainable routines.
What works for you.
Exactly. And I like what you brought up with the macros, because for me, it doesn't work because I get too obsessive over the metrics, and then it just feeds into this negative triggering mindset for me. But I definitely know some people that benefit a lot from it because they stress a lot about not getting the right nutrition, not getting enough protein or calories, and they need something to tell them, you hit it today, you got it. And so it just organizes them a little bit better. Like, it makes them less stressed by counting their macros.
Well, and what it did for me is, like, I go through these different phases, right, where I'm growing muscle, where I'm struggling to eat the amount my coach has given me, but I'm like, I know what this is for. I know exactly where this energy is going to go. I go in my lifts and I smash them. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And that own growth phases for me last a while. So I'll do that for a while, and then I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, gaining some fat, like, let's dial it back. And then I'll be like, those phases where I usually go to, like, maintenance, and it's still, I'm not hungry, I feel great in my lifts. And then recently I did the first ever, like, I I don't want to say aggressive because it was like mildly aggressive, but like, okay, we have X amount of weeks. It was a short time period before this trip. It was a last minute trip, and I was shooting for bikini brands, and I was in the middle of a growth phase. So I was like, I'm fluffy.
Yeah.
Let's dial this back.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever did like, okay, deficit, like immediately instead of gradually, which is how I took it in the beginning. And oh my God, it blew my mind. I did a whole YouTube video about it because I was like, this is crazy. I'm like my lifts were okay. They were still pretty good depending on what time of day I did them. But oh my God, I was struggling to surf.
Yeah.
I was like, I was tired. I could feel like my mood, my concentration levels.
Yeah.
And I noticed so many more things I mentioned in the YouTube video. I don't even remember. But I was like, wow, like this is what my body feels like when it knows it's underfed. So like, imagine if I didn't know and I was just a girl trying to get skinny and I was under eating and my whole life was miserable and I'm attributing it to all these other kinds of things. And so that's what it was for me. It was like, this is exactly what I feel like when I eat this much, and this is why. So when I'm training and I'm in a deficit phase and my lift is really heavy, instead of being like, I'm losing progress, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm like, no, I know why I feel this way. This is for my goals. It's only for one more week, and then it's done.
Yes.
And so it's so much easier to reach your goals when you know that it's temporary and you know why everything feels a certain way. So that's why like counting macros for me has been insane. Yeah. And so I know at exactly what amount of carbs and exactly what amount of calories that I'm going to start to struggle to surf, which is where I never want to be.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't need to be shredded like I'm getting on stage, ever.
Right.
So I'm like, I like myself a little bit into a bulk.
Yes.
Like, and that's where I found, it's fun to challenge myself a lot. Like I still tell my coach, I'm like, challenge me. Like I'm bored. Let's do this.
Like, let's go.
And she knows that about me. And so, but I also know exactly to myself of how much I want to push things.
Exactly.
So yeah, for me, tracking was like everything. Cause now I understand exactly how much my body needs. Yeah,
definitely.
All the time.
And it's such a learning experience too, because as you said, when you are someone that's so prone to undereating, like chronically undereating for your whole life, and then you start eating more, you're just so many doors open. Yeah. Just like your energy levels go. Because I feel like appetite doesn't really, it kind of fades at some point. Like as we said, when we were undereating for years and years, like I didn't necessarily feel, like my body just got so used to this level of calories, you know? So I didn't feel the appetite necessarily. And I was like, I'm not hungry. Like why would I be in a bad mood? I'm not. And I was in a terrible mood all the time. I was not progressing in anything physical. My mindset was terrible. And I was like, because I'm starving. My brain and my body is starving. Yeah, and,
but you don't even know it.
You don't even know it. You know? So, but it does take time, to like, get back to that, or not even back, but like change that kind of eating habit. But people, I try to just motivate them like a couple months. Don't be scared. I got you. But
well, and that's one thing I learned too, is like before I learned all this about tracking and growing muscle and everything, I thought that like as soon as you gain a certain fat or whatever, it's like the end of the world. It's like it can never come off.
I know.
So I was so afraid to like go up, when in reality now I'm like, oh, let's go up. Let's keep going up because I can just go back down.
Exactly.
Whenever I want.
Like you're in control. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But so another thing with kind of nutrition and everything, alcohol. You don't drink very much.
No.
Have you ever drank very much? What is your relationship with alcohol, partying, drugs? Tell us about
the juicy stuff.
Yeah, the juice.
So, no, I'm not a big drinker. Never been.
Yeah.
Not a big partier. So that fits with my lifestyle. Yeah. And it's not that I forced myself to have this lifestyle. This is the way I've been always. I was actually thinking about this just because my boyfriend and I we're good communicators. And as someone who doesn't value as much the social drink, the socializing things, and he's the complete opposite. Loves socializing, loves drinking, and like sharing those experiences with people. It's a way of bonding for him. It's his culture. He's European. I'm American. Like it's just different. And so we've communicated a lot about that, and understanding other people's values in a relationship is so important. And so with this, like with my lifestyle, it works perfect. Like even back in high school, I was never a partier. Yeah. I used to have a guy friend who would come to my house like 11 p.m. on weekends, take me out of bed and take me to parties. And still one of my best friends to this day. And literally I can attribute, oh my God, every single boy I ever kissed in high school, which was like 3 or 4, credit to him.
Yeah.
Credit to him. Greatest
Legend.
wingman. Greatest wingman.
Yeah.
But literally, he would come and he'd be like, nope, we're going out. And my mom even loved it. Because, like, I came after 3 older brothers. So, like, I was the last kid.
Right.
She
You
didn't
don't have
care.
a sister.
I don't have a sister, yeah. Right. So I was, like, 3 older brothers. By the time I was in high school, my mom was like, whatever. But I was never, like, a bad kid, troublemaker, whatever. So my mom loved it. She's like, yeah, take her to parties. Like, go.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I'm like home, whenever I go home to California, my mom's like, go out. Like, go see. I'm like,
go, live
like,
your life. Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's never been a big thing for me. I'm a type of person that drinks like on holidays.
Yeah.
Like I'll maybe drink on New Year's, maybe if I go out for Halloween, and then like 1 or 2 other times occasionally throughout the year.
Right.
It's not my thing. I do think it's fun every once in a while, but 90% of the time I go out, I'm like, this is not fun.
Do you find it like boring, or do you not like the feeling of drinking, or?
I don't know why. I've always had this like fear of under the influence, like significantly, whether it's me or other people. Like I remember being young and being like scared when I saw really drunk people.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah. Like I don't know why. Yeah. Super weird. But like
because they're like unpredictable. Yeah, they can be dangerous.
Well, and I just hate not being like in control. No, not control, because I'm not a controlling person. I don't chase the high, the feeling of. I remember the first time I smoked weed. Like I cried. I was in tears. I was in tears.
I was so the opposite. I was laughing. I could not stop laughing for hours.
My friends, like, dude, I was in tears because I was like, this is never going to go away. I was terrified. My friend was like, it's going to go away. Like, it's fine. And that was like my first time ever. To this day, I like to smoke every once in a while, but it's not something I go out of my way to get. If somebody has some, oh, cool. Like, we have this random night. Like, sure. But most of the time, I don't. It's only at night for me when I have nothing on my schedule. Yeah. Like, very rarely. So, and then other than that, I've never done any hard drugs. Yeah. I'm terrified of like, I'm terrified. Like thinking about like tripping on something for like 12 hours.
I know.
Oh my God, that's my worst nightmare. Yeah. Like I can't imagine.
And I think it's good that you kind of know that and say no. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people that
have zero interest
will they'll be scared of it and still do it. And when you take these more hard drugs, hallucinogenics, and
you're scared of them,
you're tripping and you're scared and you don't accept it, that's when you have a bad trip. Yeah. Like it happened to me and I was like not into it. And I've done them a couple of times, mushrooms and a bit of acid and stuff like this. But this one time, all of my friends were doing it and I didn't really want it. I was in the wrong mindset. I'd done it before, so I knew it was like worst trip of my life. And it changed me forever. I mean, I don't think I had like a break from it, but it's great that you know those boundaries for yourself, because a lot of people just do it from like peer pressure or social pressure, or they feel like maybe it'll help. Yeah. I'm like, you got to be really confident in your own mindset to be able to handle this sort of stuff. Even weed. I mean, we talked about this the other day. Like, weed can trip a lot of people out. If you're not really confident in what's going on in there, weed's not going to help you out, I think. I think it's going to make it worse.
Well, and that's what freaks me out. Like, I don't want to be changed forever. Like, that's really scary. I don't know. It just like, it's never been an interest for me. And so that being said, it goes well with my lifestyle because, and Tim and I are like an old married couple. Like, we don't want to party. We don't like to party. He had his party phase when he was younger. Yeah. So, like, I had met him after that. If I met him and he was still in his party phase, we would not be together. I did not have time for that. And so for me, I never understood why people just, like, for people to just keep drinking or to, like, just keep going. I don't understand that. I have 2 drinks. I get to this peak and I'm like, yee, and then it goes down and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Yeah. So it's hard for me to understand.
Would you... Sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, I think you're going to bring this up as well, is like, I think a lot of people are scared to sacrifice the alcohol, the social life, to get results, to go back to what we were saying about fitness. And you don't have to. You can do both. Yeah. For example, my coach, I know she likes to enjoy herself sometimes. She talks about it on social media of certain drinks she substitutes and what she prioritizes when she goes out. And I think it's totally fine as long as it's all about consistency. It's a long term. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's like, as long as you don't go balls to the walls and drink 3 nights every weekend, like, you're fine. And just choose which, But also, that being said, like, why the heck is alcohol so normalized?
I don't know.
It is so incredibly bad for you.
I know.
Like, it's so bad.
Yes.
And yet it's weird when I don't...
You don't drink.
don't drink, or I don't understand why people like to just pound alcohol.
Yes,
like,
I know. It's like you're definitely the odd one out if you're not drinking these days. People are like, why aren't you drinking? Oh, here, just have one. Just have like a little wine. And you're like, no.
Like I'd rather, like, I think it should be more normal for everyone to just like be smoking weed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, and then to watch like my conservative mother / family that came from the generations before.
Yeah.
To be so against weed.
Yeah, I know.
So against weed, but bottles and bottles and bottles of wine and alcohol is fine. But like to think, oh my God, like you smoke weed, like
it's a drug. Like what are you doing? Like you're a drug addict.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of things are changing with that, and I think alcohol is becoming like it's more normal to not drink. Like I love to hear that a lot of people on TikTok, I watch their Get Ready's with Me's or whatever for New Year's, and they've done a whole year completely sober.
Yeah,
just
it's
like
amazing.
chose not. Yeah, and they talk about the positives of it, which I think is great, and goes to the fitness thing as well. It's like until you experience something, you don't know it. So maybe you feel so much better not drinking, but you don't know it because. And I get it, like the college lifestyle, the young. Everyone's like, "Oh, party in your 20s." I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see if I turn 30 and I suddenly want a wild party lifestyle.
I know.
But
yeah, I think, well, coming from me, very different. I was a party girl.
Really?
Until recently, I'd say.
Really?
Like, until honestly recently. And anyone that knows me on a personal level knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, also with high school, when I went to college or university in Australia, unbelievable
I mean,
amounts,
you go abroad, you're single,
no,
makes
for
sense.
sure. But alcohol, a lot of drugs, like very, very intense for a big part of my life up until I was maybe 23, 24. So I'm 26 now, turning 27. So 3 years ago, 3 years ago. And yeah, I definitely feel I have a different perspective on it now because I had this phase and I really got it out of my system. Like, not just a little, like I got it out, like very much. And so,
oh my God, I'm so curious now.
Yeah, I'll tell you stories later. But definitely slowing down on alcohol and having months not drinking. So when I was in Morocco during COVID, I didn't drink for 7 months. That was like the longest time I didn't drink.
Yeah, because it's alcohol free.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not really part of their religion. So a lot of people don't do it. It's not really part of the culture. But and I felt unbelievable. My skin was, I always have pretty clear skin, but my skin was like glowing and I was in amazing shape. My energy levels were through the roof and I just stopped binge drinking and I stopped having the casual, wine. And that sounds like such a romantic thing after work. You have a long day and then you just have a wine by the fire. It's like so romanticized, but I think what's really amazing is being sober for a long period of time, not just like, oh, I didn't drink this weekend. I'm like, okay, that's a start, but try going like a couple weeks or a couple months or a couple years. And you really kind of unlock this power in your mind. And I think you can definitely feel how unhealthy consistent drinking is when you stop drinking, like you said.
I remember when I first started tracking, I take time off like very frequently. Like I took a lot of time off of tracking just because I've been consistent for so long. I've gotten to this point where it's pretty easy. But I do remember every once in a while when I'd go out, I would add a few drinks. Like I'd track what I had. It immediately puts you in a surplus.
Yes.
Like immediately. Yes. So I think people are like, oh, I just had like 2 beers tonight or 3 beers tonight. And it's like, you do that like a couple times a week. And it's like, you're just going to continuously gain weight over time.
Yeah.
Like
a beer
continuously.
Is like 130 calories, I think, for like a big super bock, like a regular size super bock beer.
Yeah, because the liter ones.
Yeah, and then the liters are like 5, like 4. Yeah. Like 4, like that's just like, I mean, if you're eating 500 or 600 calorie meals, which the average person probably would be, that's like 2 or 3, like 3 or 4 beers is a meal. Yeah. So,
and it's like the calories from the carbs plus the calories from the alcohol, which you don't even really like, you don't feel them.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then on top of that, the bad sleep. Yes. And then the process that your body goes through when it's trying to, I guess, digest the poison that you just put. It stops all other functions and just immediately tries to kill all the alcohol. Yes. So just, everything else is just sitting in your body. Like when I listened to more podcasts about it and like learned more about it, I was just like, oh my God, like, it's so bad. And then to have it be so normalized, it's like,
yeah, it's really tough. Like, I think also as a young person, you know, our age in our 20s, where we're meant to be in our prime of partying and alcohol is everywhere. It's hard to say no, but also I find when I've taken a step back from drinking, you feel a little bit lonely, like at first when you're like, oh, I'm the sober one at the party, or I'm going to drive home early now because everyone else is going out and getting drunk. But I do think you start to like discover new social groups that don't drink and don't party. It takes a bit of time, but there's a whole other world out there, sober living. Like it's totally a different lifestyle, and it's so cool. I mean, I really am starting more and more to gravitate towards this because it's much more healthy, but also it's more interesting than just a bunch of drunk people at the same bar every weekend at the same parties. You feel like fucking shit when you're hungover. I get the worst hangovers. It's just not worth it sometimes, you know?
I remember in high school being like, I don't have, like the people I'd hang out with, I'm like, literally the only thing I have in common with anyone is that we both go out.
Yes.
So I'm like looking at these people that are like best friends through high school, and all they do is get shit-faced on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, are you guys even friends?
Do you guys know
outside
each other?
of partying?
Yeah.
Like, and yes, partying is an amazing way to bond.
It is.
Like, amazing. Partying or like, but like, you have to be friends before that. You have to be in a relationship before that. Because like, that can't be that can't be what your relationship is based off of.
Yeah. And I think, it does have its moments where it can take the edge off, or you haven't seen one of your best friends in so long, you're going to have a wine, get a little bit tipsy, girls' night out, whatever. And it can, I've definitely had amazing times when I've been drinking or going out or partying or whatever. But this consistent party and this perspective that the weekends are for drinking, I don't know, it just gets you in this vicious cycle. And I'm like, there's so much good that comes from waking up fresh the next morning or getting a good night's sleep
Again, I feel like it's the values, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, I remember when people are like, oh my God, best night of my life. I'm like, the best night of your life was out drunk and you don't even remember. But then I think about other people like that, like music festivals. My brother loves music festivals, and I'm sure he has a large not priority, but a value. Like he loves music. Like there's a reason behind just to get
fucked up. It's like an experience.
Yeah. So it's hard. Like, I don't know. I feel like as much as we prioritize feeling good, going to the gym, it's like some people might be like, you enjoy the gym. Yeah, it's just about definitely. What people.
For sure. It's a very individual opinion based on your experiences and your values. I agree.
But the concept here is like, if you care and you want to look a certain way, like choose.
Exactly.
Choose what you prioritize.
And if you're sitting there upset or depressed on how you're feeling or what you're looking like, and you're drinking every weekend and not training or not eating right or not sleeping right, it's laid out in front of you. The problem's laid out in front of you. And so you really need to look at, what your priorities are. If it's going out every weekend and drinking, and I'm not against it. I did it and I enjoyed it. I have no regrets. I wouldn't be here where I am without that phase of my life. Right. But it is that constant. I mean, I just get a lot of people. You know, I think we definitely have this experience of getting a lot of clients that say, "Oh, I want to get in shape." Obviously, that's why they're coming to us. But if they're drinking all the time and they're upset about it, but it's just part of the routine, it's like you really gotta start looking at that and prioritizing if that's something you want to keep doing.
I'm curious to see too how my early 20s. I'm 24. The last 6 years of my life would have been had I not been in a relationship.
I was going to say this. I was like...
Sometimes I go out. Like, I went out not long ago at home in California with some friends. On Halloween, actually. I tried to go out. We spent more time on our Halloween costumes than we did at the party.
Fun, though.
But I was out at the party trying so hard to have fun. Like, so hard. And I was looking around me, and I'm, like, looking around at these people, like, drunk, like, looking stupid, like, looking for girls, guys. And I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Is this what it would be like if I was single?
I know. It's really, I definitely think that is a big part of why people go out. And I know couples that still go out. People still like to social. I'm not saying everyone, But a lot of people are going out because they're single and they want to hook up with someone. And yeah. Like
to be fair, though, if I was searching for my person, I would not look out.
Yeah.
But that's just because I know myself. Yeah. I know what I prioritize. I've been like that all through high school.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would not want to meet my person at a party.
Yeah. But it's hard because also, how do you, well, I mean, I know this answer. I mean, there's so many other solutions, but many people think, well, if I just sit at home on a Friday night, how am I going to meet anyone? Yeah. Which is fair. But this whole concept of like blacking out. And I think also people just want to let lose control so they're more available to be taken home by someone or take someone home, you know?
Less shy.
Yeah, less shy.
But I also think, like, what other hobbies do you have?
Yeah.
Like, go out and try to meet somebody doing that.
Yes.
Or, I mean, even dating apps.
Yeah.
I support it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I know a lot of successful couples.
Yeah, my cousins got married. Yeah. My cousin and they got
nice.
married because...
Yeah, no, dating apps, I'm not against either.
Yeah. I think it's better than just going out, like, randomly.
Yeah.
But... Anyways.
Yeah, it's this whole thing. Yeah, I just see like this vicious cycle of people just constantly feeling like shit. They want to change their lifestyle, but they're still drinking a lot every weekend or throughout the week. And I'm like, well.
Just don't care enough. They just don't care enough to like choose to prioritize themselves. Yeah. They're more focused on the having fun, the social, which is so great. But like you said, you can have such an amazing social life, friend group, connection, human connection without that.
Yeah. And I think it's also trying to get people to realize that, I mean, the reason they're usually drinking is to, let loose and be social and let loose from what? Stresses of life or stresses of, a big stress for people is I don't like how I look and feel. So I'm going to drink. So I just like forget that feeling. And I'm like, yeah.
You're still going to wake up in the same body.
You're going to wake up worse because you're going to be hungover. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to wake up more unhealthy because you drank last night. But yeah, it's like this escapism, you know. People try to use substances to escape, which can be a beautiful thing, but it's only more commonly it's not, you know. I think if it's it's consistent in your routine. Yeah. But interesting. Alcohol, it's a big one. It's super common, and but yeah, no, it's cool to know. I mean, you're so young to be realizing that. At like such a young age. I mean, you said you didn't really drink that much for your entire...
ever. Yeah. I've never been interested. Like, if I'm going to drink, I'm not going to casually drink. If I'm going to, like, consume so many extra calories, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a fun night out.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I'm definitely going to go. Like, I'm not just going to, like, let me just have 2-3 glasses of wine, like, for... for fun.
Exactly.
Or, like, sitting around. Like, different, like... Depending on the people you're with, like, but still, like, my friends and the people that I spend time with, they have the same values as me.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We don't want to just drink to drink.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely gone through some friend groups where they're just drinking buddies. Like, they're just drinking buddies. And I was a drinking buddy, you know, like that's just the dynamic between you and some people. But yeah, when you get older, when you kind of want to stop that, you're like, I need to find people that I connect with on something else, because drinking is not something you really can connect with people on an emotional level, you know, and on a more serious level.
Well, and at the end of the day, like, whether it's your partner or your friend, you want to bring people up. And I bring this up because that exercise you told me to do about the goals and then writing a fear after the goal.
Did you do it?
I tried.
I did like 40. I was like...
Dude, I was getting stuck at 10. Yeah. And every single goal was the same. Yeah. Every single one of my goals, writing for 2024, and my fear was in some way growth. Yeah. Every single was I want to grow in X, and my fear was I'm not going to grow or I'm going to stay stagnant. Right. So I'm the type of person that I constantly want to be better, whether it's growth in numbers on social media, whether it's growth as a person, whether it's like I am terrified to just stay, not terrified, but my fears and everything was just to stay the same. Yeah. And not improve myself, not go up, not chase my goals, not like, so I want that from my friends, and I want that for Tim and I want me to give that to him, and I want him to give that to me. Like, definitely. I want people that are going to push me to be better all the time. Exactly. Like, that's just the way, and I feel like a lot of people are okay with not going anywhere. Yes. And chilling. Yeah, and I think definitely some people are very content with what they have and who they are in that moment. I have a lot of friends like this. They grew up in an amazing family. They love their surroundings. They love where they are. They like their job. They're good. Yeah. And they're like, I don't really need to travel the world and spend thousands of dollars looking for
the place and looking for my job, and I'm like, I envy you because you found it at such an early point of your life. Like, you got it, and they're super happy people. But if you're someone that's kind of growth orientated, I think that's it's very important to have people around you that are pushing you up. It takes
compare it to like when you meet a guy or a significant other.
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't want to grow. They don't want to be better. They don't want to go anywhere with their life. Maybe it's a dude who works at a, sorry to all the dudes if you get offense to this.
No.
Say it's just a dude that like just works at a surf shop, smokes on the weekends, plays video games. Yeah. And he's making rent and he's chilling.
He's content.
Yeah. You know? And then like for me, I would be like, I don't think it's going to work for me. Yeah. I need goals. I need ambition.
Definitely.
I'm not, like, I don't need you to make a bunch of money and buy me things.
Yeah, but you need to have the
same. I just need drive.
Yes.
Like, that's how I was raised. You work hard and you, like, you go up, like, together. And, of course, I'm not the type of person that's, like, never satisfied. But when I work hard and I'm, like, productive and then I get to those moments where I want to chill for a bit. Yeah. I'm still thinking about how can I grow and be better. Like,
for sure.
2023 was like the biggest growth, jump, improvement, everything for my career in every way. And I'm like, whoa, like I was writing about it. Yeah. Like if you read my journals, you'd be like, whoa, she predicted her own future.
Crazy.
And I'm almost like, it almost made me nervous for 2024 because I was like,
can I
keep going up? Like I'm so grateful to be able to say that.
Yes.
But like and then that nervousness passed and I listened to some podcasts and I started this year and I started planning some stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I got this. Like, let's go. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So going up and it's
you need to have that support around you, or it helps to have that support around you. I feel like I know a lot of people, kind of myself as well as an individual. I was very much surrounded by people that were just good, kind of sitting here at one point, and I am like a sponge, you know. I really adapt to the people around me, but I had to find it within myself to kind of push past that, because that's not where I wanted to be, and it's not a bad place to be. I'm not saying that, but it's not where I want it to be. So I needed to kind of find that motivation myself. But it does help to have people around you that are doing the same thing. It's so fucking motivating when you're around people that are doing the same thing, have the same ambitions, have the same drive. But last question I wanted to ask was this kind of mindset of growth and progression and ambition. Where do you think it comes from? Do you think it has to do with family, how you were raised, being born in the States? So where do you think,
I want to say that I think to like as far back as I can remember, I've been like that, kind of.
Is your family like this as well?
My family's like that. I come from a very impressive family, second extended family as well. But it was never out of, I need to prove myself to them. Yeah. It's never been like that. I've always been my own person, my own character. Like, I've been the younger sister who didn't go to a private school or expensive university and finished high school and traveled around the world to surf and met a boy. That's the perspective from my brothers. Yeah. Whereas I have a brother in med school. I have another brother who, like, graduated from UCSD. I have another brother that is a genius and went to incredible schools and got 4.0s in the hardest majors and graduated top 17 or something percent in at grad school in UCLA. Yeah, I went to his graduation.
You're around it.
Yeah, I went to his graduation and I knew he was smart and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him. It's like the only white kid. Yeah. In all of the graduates of this class. And I was like, oh, you're that smart. Yeah. Like, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And I never compared myself to them. And I never thought that I had, like, I'm so grateful to have parents that were supportive of what I wanted to do. Yeah. And now I've created so much for myself. But that time period in between was definitely weird. But I've always in the back of my mind known that I was going to be successful. Yeah. Like, I've never wondered.
Yeah. You've always kind of had that vision of, like, when I'm older, like, I'm going to be, successful.
I just knew from day one I was never going to settle for a job I didn't want. And I've always just been, I was raised and I have it in me as like a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I think that pays off in every way. So I guess in short, from family, how I was raised.
Yes. Do you find that the States have something to do with that as well? Being born in California, I mean, for one, but the U.S. in general?
Again, nothing I ever experienced was ever pressure.
Yeah.
To be something.
Right.
So I think we work too hard in the States.
Yeah.
Having spent so much time outside of the States. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do think it's a bad thing when you don't love it.
Yes. Yeah, I think...
which I think a lot of people do.
Definitely. I also feel being born and raised there, never pressure, but it was just kind of a paved way for me.
It's just the norm.
You know, like, it is just the norm to go to university and get a good job, whatever that means. I never was told, like, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. But it was just, that's just the norm. And I'm so grateful for that because it was easy, because it was ingrained in me as a kid.
Yeah.
No, my parents never said you have to do this. They were super supportive in whatever I do. But yeah, it's just the way it is, you know, and I definitely know some people were more pressured in the States to be something bigger and they don't make it there and they get really depressed and whatever.
Yeah.
But I am very grateful for that part of the American mindset, I guess, at least where I was born and raised. That was just the natural path. And so when it's like anything, when you're taught that as a kid, it's just the norm for you for the rest of your life. But do you feel a difference? Yeah, so you kind of mentioned you think Americans work a bit too hard, or you feel a difference here versus home?
To a certain extent, but I find, I mean, you obviously attract and you end up being surrounded by people that are like-minded.
Yes.
So I feel like that ambition, that like really loving your job, chasing your passion, like I look at you and all that you're doing, and I think that's amazing, and that's like the friends that I have, and I look up to my mom. She's amazing, like the most hardworking businesswoman, always trying to improve, like one of those works too hard type people.
Right.
And my dad is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He works really hard, don't get me wrong, but he's very much knows how to stop working, which my mom doesn't. So it's so funny to watch their dynamic. And I have a bit of both of them in me. More of my mom, but I have enough of my dad to know that I need to stop and take time for myself.
Right.
Which I think I have the perfect balance of the two. But yeah, I think it's like we talked about the other day, is the lead by example of the people you're surrounded by. And I've always been surrounded by people that
bring you up.
Yeah, bring you up and are motivating and go get it.
And you kind of look up to, so you chase them a little. You know, I feel like people you
it's
look
not
up
like
to.
I want to be like that, but it's just like that's how you live.
Yes.
That's so like I said, it's never been pressure. It's always just what I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Just productivity.
Yeah.
Getting life.
Yes, surrounding yourself with good people, making the right choices.
Well, and doing what you love and working hard.
Exactly. And I think, in my opinion, passion drives success. So you got to find something that, and I am a pretty firm believer that everyone can find something they really like. You don't have to love your job. I'm not saying, I mean, I know a lot of people, as we said, like are content with their job. They're like, I don't mind going to work 8 hours a day doing this job, getting paid, and I'm sweet. Like, find something that's not going to completely suck the energy out of you and chase that.
Well,
like, just
because
go for it, you know?
Yeah, I'm dragging this out, but you know what's interesting is like the giving you energy for the longest time I did what I was told and I never thought about it. If I had homework, I would do it. Even if I didn't like it. It was whatever. I liked math, I hated history, whatever. But I did it all. I always did it. I worked really hard. And then as I got older, I slowly started getting to this point where I was like drained by the things I didn't want to do.
Yes.
But I still did them. I've been taught to like always have constant different streams of income.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that. It's helped me so much. But now it's like slowly dwindling into this top 3 things I really love to do. And like I just graduated, just finished like my university online.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the last like 6 months was so hard for
I
me.
know.
It was so hard to finish. I was, after 2 minutes of trying to do an assignment, I was drained.
Yeah.
And I did this like business life coaching call with this this woman, and she basically assessed everything, and like we went back to childhood things that have made me the way I am and stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of the call, she basically was like, "It looks like you just need to stop school."
Yeah.
And
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like 2 months away from finishing, and I was like, "No, I'm gonna finish."
Yeah.
But ever since I finished, and all of my stuff has been things I love to do. It's the gives you energy, things that give you energy versus things that drain you is huge.
Yes,
Huge.
definitely. Giving you, the things that give you energy should really be prioritized. And with anything, with any sort of career or anything, there's always sacrifice you have to make. There's always the work that you don't want to do that you have to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not all just rainbows and butterflies all the time. But yeah, just find your purpose, I guess. Easier said than done, though, because I know a lot of people that don't know. And I didn't know either until I think recently, maybe last year or two, when I was like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I blame our education system.
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole nother fucking topic. We got to get you back on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was so nice.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for,
went a little crazy, but I love it.
No, I like it. That was almost 2 hours. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was epic.
So sweet. We'll have you on again.
Thank
Lots
you
more to
so
talk about
much.
still. Thank you. Yay. It was fun.
See you next time.